Hey, this is Jesse James. Welcome back to the channel. It's another episode of Dealership Life where I take you through a general week of what it's like working at a Harley-Davidson dealership. I'm actually a day behind. I had to miss the first day of the week due to my son babysitter issues, but doesn't mean that we didn't have some bikes going out. Ended up selling this Iron 883 100th anniversary edition in the cobalt blue. This is one of the most overproduced anniversary bikes out there, but it doesn't mean that it's still not a really good bike. Somebody getting it as their starter bike, carbureted too. Again, another thing where you just don't see it very often. But even though value-wise, being an anniversary on this one doesn't really do anything for it, it's still really cool. And should make this guy happy. Great little starter bike, and then there's a cool story with it afterwards. Personally, the cobalt blue is the color that I like the best on the 100th anniversaries. So super glad that he came back in. That was actually a deal that at the end of the month had gotten most of it worked out. Just was waiting to get the money to finish up. So got to start off the month strong. This is the second day of April. So starts off the month strong. We're closing out some business that I wish had gone on last month, but honestly, as long as I get out riding, that's all that really matters. So I know I've bring this up a decent amount, I feel like, in these dealership life videos, and the reason being is because for these dealership lives, it's like unfiltered, like what I'm experiencing, and it's going to be different for everybody's journey in sales. And for me, my family is a big reason not only of why I'm in sales, but yeah, a big part of me as a father. So yes, the reason, as I was saying earlier, I missed today was because anybody that's had kids knows that one of the biggest struggles of having a child is babysitters. So whenever a babysitter calls out or they're closed for XYZ reason, you're the one that's got to figure that out. And so that's what I ran into yesterday. My babysitters they closed at 1. I live about 45 minutes away, so it would have made no sense for me to come up here, be here just to get the place open and have to leave. And so luckily for here, my management team allowed me to make calls from home, to work on stuff from home. So I did get some appointments set, but I didn't figure that would make too engaging of a start to the video. But yeah, I know I've mentioned it before, but again, if you were thinking of getting into sales, be it Harley, any type of sales really, make sure you're working at a place that it's like, figure out what their parenting policy is and if they can work with you on it. Because literally most of the days I miss are not because I'm sick or because anything other than babysitter issues. Another thing that I've been bringing up a lot in these videos is Rider Academy. Not unheard of for this point in the year. This is usually when we see the most amount of people coming in to get into riding. With the good weather comes interest in the hobby, which is what this is built for. Just got done with a conversation about it. Lady's been riding for a while, has had some family members and really like that have passed, and really her interest of getting riding is the same as it was for me, of it's losing those family members. This was their hobby, and like for me it was my dad. When my dad passed, it was one of the ways that I grieved for him of he was very big into bikes but never had the opportunity. So I started diving into it, found there was a lot of things in this hobby that I was already really interested in, I just didn't know it. And so kind of a kindred spirit in that story, going to be going through Rider Academy. So it was fun just to like help in that grieving process, but also hopefully get her into riding and maybe get a sale out of it. So it's a different day now, but to kind of give you a wrap up of what went on yesterday, ended the day talking with some customers about the Softail Standard here. Highly underrated bike, and sadly they don't make it anymore. They made this bike all the way from 1984 up until 2024. It came in with the Softail lineup, and it was only in its last year that you saw it get a different color than black. I really dug this gray with the lettering on it. I would set up this bike more easy rider style, like, because it's essentially minimal tech engine set up. Like, I would personally end up doing some different wheels just because I like the spokes more, and I would switch to forwards and again set it up like an easy rider style. I've said before in these videos, if it weren't for Banks, my job would be easy. So we gotta have a little bit of a conversation with Banks, see what we can't do for him. But that should, like, we'll see how that one goes, because again, it's kind of out of my hands at that point. Customers, though, like, the reason looking at that bike, that whole family has actually bought several bikes from me. So it was one of those things where now another member's wanting to get into riding. So we talked, it's like, for getting into riding, how they wanted something longevity wise that would still be a good starter bike. And while I like the Sporties, they've got a cap, whereas on Softail there's a little bit more of a learning curve, but once you get through that learning curve, you can go cross country on those very easily. Final one we did end up was one that was this pre-owned one here was the one that we were looking at the most, just with it being pre-owned, less of a price, and then it's also what we call a certified pre-owned, so we can also still offer a lot of the same benefits of the new, but also look at that low of miles. This bike is pretty much new in my book, but gotta do some calling and talking with the bank, see what we can't do for them to get them riding. But that was the last thing that we did yesterday. Here in the Midwest, we are in the middle of, like, again, one of the worst storms of the century and blah, 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 which I feel like we've been saying a lot as of late, or at least the news media has. So this morning I've spent a decent amount of time talking with another previous customer of mine on this 2021 Tri-Glide. Currently has an 03 Deuce that he bought from me a couple of years back. It's a CVO one too, so definitely a standout bike. But he bought that 03 Deuce from me back in 2023, and it was just a way to establish some credit. Because even back then they were looking at going and getting a trike so the two of them could ride better, but was wanting to build up the credit a little bit more. So I went in that direction for what he called the for now bike. He actually, funny enough, ended up enjoying that bike way more than he thought he would, because he'd always been an electric glide guy before. But now his wife's wanting to get more into riding with him again, because she used to ride with him all the time, but health and knee surgeries tend to make a difference. That's one of the reasons that actually trikes are one of the most popular Harleys that are out there, just because in my opinion it's because of like how much the Harley Davidson blew up in the early 2000s with popularity. That demographic now has 20 years of age on them, so makes it to where they're super hot moving, and those couples still being involved in the hobby. It's a great way to keep riding on the trikes. So she's wanting to ride again with him, so they should be coming by either Friday or Saturday, iron some stuff out. We'll see with his work schedule, but that's one of the things of when in sales, or just what really in any business, just like continuing to be there and stay in touch with people that you've done business with before. That way in moments like this week, where literally the last two groups of people I've talked with have just been because I've continued to nurture that relationship over time. So right now, as I mentioned earlier, we are in the latest like big rain setup. Like this is the one where I was coming through the Midwest and it was a whole bunch of different tornadoes and stuff, and it was like storm of the century and blah blah blah. I don't know if it's just like because people hyping it up to get ratings, or just my age where it's like there's been COVID, there's been all these weather patterns each year, it's the worst one yet. But like for me it just doesn't bug me. Like you tell me there's a tornado, we're on a tornado watch, I'm not worried about it anymore just because hearing it all the time. I will say for sales, it's interesting because I've lived in a whole lot of different areas. Here in Evansville, even though it's a bigger town, it's still got that small town feel, as it were. Like there's still people that say, oh, I don't get over to the west side very often, because it wasn't but like 20 years ago, if you lived on one side of the town, you didn't get over to the other very often. So I just thought it was interesting to throw it in here, because that is something that you're going to deal with based off of the area that you're selling. It's just like the pre-existing culture and history of the town. So different day, same bike, different customer though. So talking about the Softail Standard. Knew I'd get it out in a second there. Just again, somebody else just looking for a really nice slim down. For him, it wasn't so much getting into riding, but more of just finding a bike where it's more old school, traditional, stripped down, and it had like essentially everything you really need for a bike: engine and two wheels. Cool dude. just works. I think he said construction for a living. So I definitely understand the appeal for that. Because like I said earlier in the video, for me, the Softail Standard, I really like just because it's everything you need but nothing that you don't. And not in like a sales pitch way, but just like for general riding. This platform this Softail platform is built to where you can still go cross country on a much lighter bike. If I was to have a Softail Standard, I'd probably set it up to look more like the bike from Easy Rider. Switch it over to forwards instead of mids, do a tall king and queen seat on it, and again, gotta switch it from the mags over to the spokes. But I really dig the bike. I like the fact that this one had the simplified gauge. I'd probably also switch out the bars. Go something where a little bit taller, less mini-ape. Right. I know on the new bikes where I like the fact that it's got the analog, but if I'm gonna build up a bike to look like it's a chopper, I'd go Softail Standard because you still got the gauge, you still got the quality of life, but it doesn't muddy up the overall look. The other thing I really like about the Softail Standard is it was around for such a long time. Like when the Softails came out in '84, the Softail Standard was in that portfolio. And I understand why for 2025 they didn't bring it back, but it did, like anytime something goes away, it makes you nostalgic whenever it's gone. So rest in peace to the Softail Standard. You will be missed, at least by me. And I do think it's cool that it was only in the very last year of its production you could get it in another color except for black, because like that bike was, since it was always the cheapest Softail to get into riding on a Softail from Harley, it was always in black because that was the base color for so long. But since last year they changed the base color for the first time in forever from being black to that billiard gray, it got a color option, and I thought that was really cool. But yeah, rest in peace to the Softail Standard. So showing off one last bike for the day. This one is a 07 Electroglide Classic. Don't get to mess around with these bikes very much. They'd stopped making them well before I got involved with Harley Davidson. But fella was looking for what I would call like those unicorn hard to find bikes. There we go. One of those bikes where less than 10 grand touring bike that you can take all the way up to Appalachia or Alaska if need be. And really this wasn't a bad one at all to do so. Cool thing about the Electroglide Classic, it was at that point where Harley was starting to make that transition over to the Street Glide because people were taking these bikes, chopping off the tour pack and riding them that way. It's actually why a lot of people still call them Electroglides, at least in my area. Check this out. 32,000 miles on it, so low miles. Sorry about that. Low miles for it. One of those where because he was looking for a cheaper bike for him and his wife to ride on, so that's going to be the way to go. The thing that we run into on that one is sat down, built up a folder with showing numbers of what out the door would be, and one of the things I like about working here is it's pretty, it's transparent pricing. It's like, this is what we have it up for. We do recon for all of our pre-owned units and Uncle Sam and the documentation. And he was looking to get to a number. I couldn't get to that number. I showed him I was only going to be off by a few $100, and it was just like, hey, that's the best that I can do. Budget-wise, it wasn't going to change his budget any. It was still going to be the same budget one way or another. And so it was a little bit of part of me wanted if it was just a non-commitment type thing. But I did everything that I can do, and at the end of the day, that's all I can do is do everything I can do to take care of the customer. What I will say is we do have a bike going out tonight. It's gonna be one Softail Standard going to a new home. So if you made it this far in the video, I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to add this little section here because I want to kind of explain why dealership life, what this series, what this video is. My idea for it is not to be a sales guru. I think there's enough of those out in the world. I'm not going to say sales is the answer for everybody because it isn't. And that you need to do X, Y, or Z to be successful. Because in my over 2 years now of me and just at this dealership, there is no silver bullet. There's good advice, but there's no 100% advice. And I'm not here to tell you guys how any of that should or shouldn't, or stay away from this, go to this. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you my experience of working at a dealership in sales and for Harley Davidson. I hope you find enjoyment out of it. For me, it's just, again, telling my story. I love telling stories, and so I want to tell mine, what I do each day. Hope you enjoy it. I remember, and I wanted to add this in there because the last dealership life I put in there got a much bigger response. And for anybody that's watching this, subscribe because of the last video, genuinely thank you. I remember when I uploaded that, I was like, okay, the reviews do well, dealership life does not, but we're gonna put it up there anyways, and hopefully it takes off. So thank you. But more than anything, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoy this type of content, want to see more dealership life, what it's like working at a Harley Davidson dealership, or just general bike reviews, please give a subscription and you'll get more of that. If you like this video, please give it a like. And if you have had thoughts on anything or want to like pick my brain, leave a comment down below. I respond to most of the comments that are down there. And I'll see you out there riding.